Dear all, good morning. Let's start our topic web standards and W3C recommendations. See, in the last lecture, we have understand what really the World Wide Web Consortium or W3C is all about. In this lecture, we will understand how web standards are proposed and what are those web standards and how they are made for the different variety and how they help in the web architecture. Let's start the lecture first. This is a basic introduction. We have what we have. See, whenever we try to build a website, we need to follow a strict process for strict process or checklist with what need to be done. So checklist includes anything about web standards. Okay. So when we look at the web standards, then we need to understand why we need to have it. You know what what you actually need to do with the web standard. Okay. So what are web standards? When we talk about web standards, we are referring to a formal specification that internet and everything on it should adhere to. Mean to say that if there is some standards definition of web, then it need to be taken care and taken account for every job which is going to be done on the web. So this is frequently less about the front end of the website, more about how the back end of the structured things works. Okay, let's move ahead. Web standards are not just focused on web development either. It's not only the thing for the web development. They touch our browsers, they touch our HTTP design, they touch our development software as well as the consumer device. So web standard is not only for the direction for the web development, they are also the direction for the web browser, HTTP design, development software as a consumer device. Essentially, web standards are developed and formalized to bring strength and consistency to the very core of the web. Okay. The more we adhere to these standards, the more accessible the web becomes for all. Because if you follow standards, the different guidelines of the W3 consortium, then the interoperability within the continental or country basis can be managed easily. Let's move ahead. So when somebody is not involved in the coding of the website, now presently they are able to access and familiar with the web standards. Let's move ahead. What are the valid HTML and CSS and JavaScript documentation? Poorly written code can cause a lot of problems for the performance of a website. Not to mention bugs it can introduce. If we have making a website, then website can have a bugs within it. So this was the first thing we needed to get handle on. So since HTML, CSS, JavaScript forms the backbone of the web, there are strict standards pertaining how they are written and when they are used. In addition, as variations of these languages enters the web lexicon like HTML5 and CSS3, these are the new technologies which have an experience of the past 15 to 20 years of the web development, and whatever new activity we take care of the web platform, it is introduced in this language update for easiness of web development and standard creation. So HTML5 and CSS standards are created from them as well. Okay. Now, by standardizing coding, we make it possible for all developers and designers to speak the same language and for every web browser or software to comprehend them. Okay. So what is the main benefit of this standardization of the coding thing? That we make it possible for other developers and designers to speak the same language and for every web browser or software to comprehend them. Now let's start and understand basic things. See, these are the technical things. These are the standard value. HTML, CSS, and JavaScript are the for the technical representations. For the graphics, we have our standards as well according to the W3C recommendations. This is an important one for the web designer, though it not so much strict standards or a set of best practices for using graphics on the web. For example, this is what the W3 recommendations is: PNG for photos, SVG for data visualization, CSS for basic HTML, Canvas API for creating gradients, shapes, and other design effects, Web CGM for vector graphics. And if you want to website to perform as efficiently as possible, it's important to take recommendation like these seriously. Now, these are only recommendations. Okay, you need not to or need to develop a website only dependent upon this guidelines. But if you follow these guidelines, your website will be efficient, or you can say that it's worked on the long-term basis. Let's move ahead. What is the mobile responsiveness? With the proliferation of the smart devices and the immense variation in the types of devices available right now, it's become critical to have a standards for the mobile web. Okay, that said, standard bodies haven't just standardized responsive design, they have also created a set of best practices for the mobile web. Here an example for the some mobile web standards we have. Like for the graphics and layout, we have a features need to design compelling and smooth user interfaces. For the device adaptations, we have features needed to create a responsive layouts where content automatically adjusts itself to the heterogeneous screen. Input mechanisms, others device capabilities. For the forms, we have feature need to build rich forms and optimize user input devices where text inputs remain a challenge. For the data storage, we have technologies available to save state, export content, and integrate data from files and service on them. For media, features need to be create immersive audio video experience on mobile devices. For the user interaction, feature needed to engage the user through device specific interaction mechanism, touch, vibration, notifications, etc. Okay, and guidelines just provided for the design or tools used create. They are just focused on the things like processing payments, web, these are the new challenges: processing payments, website security, and performance as well. Now, these are the mobile web standards, and because since we are in the domain of the processing payments, website security, and performance as well, so we need to go for study of these areas as well, and provide mechanism of standards from which the developer or user will able to follow. Next, what are the best practice recommendation? These are things. First, it should be like it is from the W3C W3C recommendations actually. So such for the structure of practice statements, application data. So use cookies sparingly, use appropriate client-side storage technologies for local data, replicate local data, security and privacy, do not execute unescaped or untrusted JSON data, user awareness and control, ensure the user is informed about use of personal and device information, enable automatic sign-in, conservative use of resources, use transform comprehension, minimize application and data size, avoid redirects, optimize network requests, minimize external resources, aggregate static images into single composite resources, include background image inline in CSS style sheets, cache resources by fingerprint, resource references. See, we are touching each and every domain of the available devices in the market. Okay, cache ejects data, do not send cookies information unnecessary, keep DOM size reasonable. Now this is for the data sending actually when we use XML. For user experience, we have optimized for application startup time, minimize perceived latency, design for multiple interaction methods, preserve focus on dynamic page updates, use fragment IDs to drive view, make telephone numbers click to call, ensure uh, consistency of state between devices, consider mobile specific technologies for initiating web application, use of meta viewport elements to identify desired screen size, handling variations in the delivery content, prefer server side for the server side it is, prefer server side detection where possible, use client side detection where necessary, use device classification to simplify content adaptation, support non-Java variant if appropriate, offer users a choice of interfaces. Now these are the things. No, experts need to handle these web standards when they are creating their websites. So for the mobile and the smart devices. So these are just a recommendation we need to take care when we make our things. Let's move for the web architecture. These recommendations where it will act back from the web architecture. Okay. This pertains to the way we structure information behind the scenes. So standards have been drawn up for the things like URLs and URIs, XMLs, HTTP and HTTPS, character sets, encoding. Okay. By using standards way we label and identify parts of web and become a global fluent. Very important. This term is very important. We need to create a URLs with concepts, URIs or HTTP, HTTPS. These concepts need to be taken care for the global friendly, for the global acceptance and a global friendly behavior. And how web accessibility initiatives (WAI) is a help us to gain the thing. It is the last part of the World Wide Web Consortium. Okay, these are the enhancements with respect to the introduction with what we have in the last lecture. Okay, so W3C accessibility has World Wide Web Consortium which will develop international standards for the HTML, CSS and many more. WAI Web Accessibility Initiative develops standards and support material to help you understand and implement accessibility. And me, you can see W3C WI resource to make your website application and other digital creations more accessible and visible to everyone. Now let's move ahead. Unlike some other web standards mentioned here, standardization accessibility is a big deal. As you see in the screenshot above, it is not just something that affects how web developer code or web designer create. It affects everyone who contribute. It affects everyone who It affects everyone who contribute to a website: writers, testers, project managers, policymakers, and so on. Now, what are the W3C accessibility standards? Let's have an overview. So, accessibility guidelines have web content accessibility guidelines, authoring tools accessibility guidelines, user agent accessibility guidelines, technical specifications like accessible rich internet applications, audio and visuals, evaluations, personalizations, pronunciations, other area of W3C WI work, additional information. So World Wide Web Consortium develops international standards, HTML, CSS and many more. W3C web standards are called W3C recommendations. Let's move ahead. There is a lot of unpack when it comes to the accessibility standards. Suffice to say, if you are building a website that aims to actively serve the public, then everyone on these standards need to become a part of your workflow. Okay. Right now the domain has been increasing, so we need to accumulate as many people as possible. In the very early days of the web, the browser was beaten and Internet Explorer and Firefox were problematic. As they attempted to compete for the greater market share, Their technologies diverse widely due to this competition to get a greater market scale. The technology divergence take place. So if left to their own devices, those browsers could have done real damage to the internet, causing a fractured experience from browser to browser and website to website. This was the main reason why this W3C recommendations were there. Tim Berners-Lee, the person who found the World Wide Web, decided something needed to be done and result from the World Wide Web Consortium. And he was also creator of the World Wide Web as well. Okay. So to really understand the functionality, let's understand this W3C page, website page. So we understand that W3C workshop on web and machine learning, these types of web industry, automotive, entertainment, publishing, web payments, web of data, web of technology, web of things. Now these are the standards which has been denoted by this consortium. And then web accessibility, internationalization, web security, privacy, work groups, ethics are defined. So these are the buzzwords. So how you can donate, how you can blog, how can W3C hire you. This is the page of the World Wide Web Consortium. And okay, so to save us from the fractured experience and from browser to browser and website to website, we need this consortium for which is acceptable by all. Since the founding of W3C, it has been the mission of standardized organization and to establish universal standards that would allow the web to grow in positive direction. Okay. WC was not the only standard organization trying to improve the internet in the early days. The web standard projects arose in the 90s to provide support to the W3C. Its specific mission was to help make the web less costly and complex to build for and manage. Although it's disbanded in 2013, it plays a critical role in getting web browser to support HTML4 and XHTML. Today, there are other standards helping you bring order and other control web. There are some bigger ones operating one to say. ECMA has been around since the 60s. Its aim has been to standardize communicating. It's like W3C only, communicating and information systems. It's also responsible for developing ECMA scripts, which is standardized JavaScript. Now we have Internet Engineering Task Forces. Is dedicated to strengthen the architecture while creating a more open environment. What WG community has developed a number of standards, non-standard on things like URL coding, APIs encoding. These organizations like the early creators of the web are not in a make of money. That their sole aim is to create a free, open, and efficient internet for every internet user. So end of the day, why we need a real standards for. So one of the biggest benefit to them is the predictability of the web. Due to when web is following some standards, we can predict what next we need to do for its growing. Okay, that's not to say that the web standards will prohibit you from being creative in how to design a website. However, in terms of how to function and how your visitors can interact with it, those elements should be consistent with the rest of the world. This creates a more inviting environment for users as it removes the struggles and confusions that comes with entering new territory. As far as the web designers are concerned, I think that's have been made it clear by now. Not only does it help you work more efficiently, but it allows you to contribute to a better web, one that's well built and accessible for all. So web standards is for to build a web which is well built and accessible for all. Okay, So this is what a web standard is all about. We have a little bit introduction, how the technical aspects like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript there. What are the graphics standards like PNG for photos, SVG, CSS for HTML, and then we have direction and the guidelines for the mobile responsiveness. These are the things like grid and layout, device adaptation, fonts, data storage, media, user interactions. Help in processing payments, website security, and performance. Then we have a web architecture, URLs and URIs, XML, HTTP, HTTPS. These are the standard. Then we have our accessibility domain. Then we have from where the web standards come from. Then we have a ECMA, Internet Engineering Task Force, then the what WG community. Okay, so like W3C, we have our ECMA community, Internet Engineering Task Force community, what WG community is doing. So this community is nothing. This with inception of new technological domain and its importance in that on the web. So the suggesting bodies, you can say, that has been increased. For the scripting, we have SCMA. For the architecture of architecture of internet, we have Internet Engineering Task Force, and this is what WG community is doing. URL encoding and APIs and all. So this is what a thing is. This is what I think. So I have given you a little bit idea of what are the W3 standards and W3 recommendations are. I hope you understand the things, and let's in the next lecture we will move for some development stuffs like Core, Java, and all. So thank you for your patience. Take care. Enjoy your learning.